In this video, we will discuss American Sniper, a 2014 film directed by Clint Eastwood and starring Bradley Cooper as Chris Kyle, the most lethal sniper in U.S. military history. Before we get started, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Chris Kyle finds himself on a dangerous battlefield in Iraq. Being an American sniper, he has to take care of his team by providing cover for them. Out of a sudden, he sees a woman and a young boy carrying a Russian grenade, and he has to make a life or death decision. The film cuts back in time and shows us how Chris grew up with a father who acted like a military commander. Chris has been influenced to believe that there are three categories of people: the sheep, the wolves, and the sheepdogs. With those teachings in mind, he grows up to become a rodeo cowboy until he catches his girlfriend cheating on him. Upon being informed about the U.S. Embassy bombings from the news, Chris decides to do something different with his life and become a protector of other people, just like sheepdogs protect the sheep. He joins the U.S. Navy SEALs and completes the harsh bud training. Around that time, he also meets Taya in a bar, a woman he resonates with. Soon, Chris follows a more specific training as he strives to become a professional sniper for the military. On his second date with Taya, he uses his newfound skills in order to win a teddy bear for her at the fun fair. The two of them start spending more time together, but Taya is reluctant about their future. Chris reassures her that he wants to spend the rest of his life with her, asking her to marry him. Taya accepts his proposal, and they rush to get married as a terrorist attack takes place in New York, which prompts Chris to suspect that he might be deployed pretty soon. Indeed, Chris and his fellow SEALs receive news that they are going to war during his wedding. Taya remarks that Chris' heart is beating like crazy, but he tries to calm her down, even though he is nervous because he is going on a military tour in Iraq. A few days later, the soldiers are transferred to the Middle East, and they are informed that this particular area has been evacuated. So the remaining men here are going to be very willing to kill them. The commander reminds the snipers that their objective is to provide cover for their team no matter what. As they arrive at the designated location, the men are warned that the terrorists have their own snipers as well. In fact, there is a sniper called Mustafa who used to be an Olympic gold medalist, and he can hit a soldier's head from 500 meters away. The film circles back to the first scene, and Chris is watching closely at the boy carrying the grenade. Although it's disturbing for Chris, he has no other choice but to shoot the boy when he intends to attack the military unit. The woman runs to grab the Russian grenade, but Chris takes her out as well. Chris continues doing his job day and night, which leads to him becoming well known among the soldiers. Having acquired the nickname Legend, Chris is informed by his pregnant wife that his little brother was also deployed in Iraq. Soon, the Marines are informed that the guy they are after is a man named Zarqawi. They are going to take a more aggressive approach by clearing 10 buildings every hour. Hearing that, Chris wants to join the unit on the ground because he feels he can help them, but he is told that they need him on the roofs. In addition, him being a sniper raises the unit's morale because everyone feels protected under his watch. The next day, Chris decides to join the ground unit anyway, and they get hold of a man who hasn't left town. The man claims he can give them the Butcher, Zarqawi's second in command, if they pay him $100,000. Knowing that they can get to Zarqawi if they seize the Butcher, Americans decide to pay the man, but they are caught up in a gunfight. The Butcher's men attack them as Mustafa kills some American soldiers. Chris uses a smoke grenade to provide cover for himself and climbs on a roof. However, Mustafa has followed him with his eyes and shoots at him every time Chris tries to get a shot. While Chris is unable to help anyone, the Butcher kills the man who talked to the Americans along with his son. 3 weeks later, Chris returns home to his wife, but his thoughts are back in Iraq since he feels a strong obligation to go back and find the Butcher. Soon, his son is born, but Chris is deployed again. On his way to the chopper, he sees his brother with another unit and decides to have a chat with him. However, his brother is extremely tired and seems to have regretted joining the military. Upon mounting the helicopter, Chris is informed that he will lead a unit and search for the Butcher. On the other hand, he has to be careful because there is a bounty on his head, and the terrorists are paying $180,000 to anyone who will kill Chris. The Marines take action and they raid a building until they enter the house of a seemingly innocent Iraqi family. They decide to spend the night there in order to spy on a restaurant across the street, since they have intel that the butcher is hiding there. The Iraqi man invites the soldiers to dine with him, but Chris sees a mark on his elbow and investigates the house. Upon discovering a secret hatch full of weapons, he realizes the man is working with the butcher and uses him to gain entrance to the restaurant. The Marines go after the butcher, but more terrorists storm in and chaos ensues. The butcher tries to escape, but Chris shoots after his vehicle and kills him by creating an explosion. Mustafa joins the scene, but he is unable to shoot as an angry crowd of Iraqis forces the American soldiers to flee. After this incident, Chris returns to the US to attend the birth of his daughter. Taya complains to him that it feels like he is never there for them even when he is physically present. Chris is so absorbed in this war that he can't think of anything else. On top of that, he has started changing his behavior because the war is affecting him. Soon, Chris is deployed on a third tour in Iraq. This time his team is ambushed by the terrorists, and he takes his sniping partner, Biggles, to a roof. However, Biggles is hit by Mustafa before they can set themselves up for duty, and the unit has to extract him. The men ask Chris if he saw where that shot came from, but he didn't because Mustafa must have shot from 1,000 meters away. Biggles is in critical condition, and everybody is displeased with the situation. Angry as they are, Chris decides to take the team back to the city so they can find Mustafa and terminate him. The team goes on the hunt and they manage to kill some enemies, but then another team member is killed, Mark. Chris flies back to the US for his funeral and listens to Mark's mother read a letter he had sent her 2 weeks ago, wondering what's the meaning of war and when it's going to end. While Chris drives away with Taya, he proves to her that his human side is gradually dissolving. Chris disagrees that Mark died due to the war, claiming that he died when he sent that letter because it proves he lost his purpose and his focus. A few nights later, Taya asks Chris if he has a death wish and begs him not to go back to Iraq. Chris does not change his mind and goes back for a fourth tour in Iraq, even though Taya warns him that she might not be home this time when he returns. Chris continues doing his job in Iraq, but the soldiers will soon be put to the test. The American military needs to invade a hostile location that is being heavily protected by the terrorists, including Mustafa. Chris and some other members of the sniping team are dropped in enemy territory while some soldier units take position on the ground. Mustafa is scanning the area and he takes a shot when he gets the chance to kill an American soldier. Chris realizes he has been looking in the wrong direction and he eventually spots Mustafa. The enemy sniper is located a mile away and is barely seen. Some members of the team believe it is impossible to make such a long shot, but Chris believes in his powers and can't hold back because he wants to avenge the deaths of his friends. He takes the shot and kills Mustafa. However, that shot exposes their location and enemy forces start swarming in. The Americans send reinforcements from the air while a sandstorm breaks out. In the midst of the fight, Chris calls Taya, telling her that he is ready to go back home once and for all. Then, he uses the storm to escape and make it back to safety. A few weeks later, Chris is back in the US, but he has a hard time getting in touch with reality. His wife tries to help him out by contacting a veteran affairs psychiatrist, and Chris proceeds to see him. When he is asked about what's bothering him, Chris answers that he feels annoyed he can't save more people. Right there, the doctor comes up with an idea and suggests that Chris can help other military veterans by providing support for them. Chris happily takes upon his new role, and he starts connecting both with other veterans and with his family. He rebuilds his connection with his family and even teaches his son how to hunt, something that his own father had done for him when he was a kid. Finally, fate plays a twisted game on Chris as he gets shot and killed by a veteran he was trying to help get past his post-traumatic stress.